but when I do, because somebody asks me a question or we reminisce like we always do a little bit, it's like it's a dream. Because it was a tough start. You know, number one, nobody had ever marketed essential oils in the world before outside of the perfume and fragrance and flavoring industry. It had never been marketed. And when I talked to people about it, they just laughed at me. You know, said, "You're crazy, you can't market something like that." And so there was no real support. Even the person that I was married to at that time, absolutely just, no, this is crazy. Yep. And of course, building a business in the 20th century is not like it used to be in the old days. You know, in the old days, all it took was tenacity and grit and you could build a business. But now all the rules and regulations and compliance stuff that you got to go through, it's a lot of money. And I didn't have the money. And so it was just work. And I was a one-man band for 2 years. Take the phone call, package the order, ship it out, mop the bathroom, you know, fill the peanut bin after filling all 6 orders for the day.
Right.
You know, then get on the plane Friday afternoon and fly out to Dallas or Kansas or wherever and do meetings for the distributors, you know, all 20 of them.
All 20 of them.
And I'd generally I'd get out where I could do a meeting on Friday evening. And then I'd take a flight, or a lot of times I would drive. You know, sometimes Nancy and Eldon would meet me and then they'd drive me to the next town. So we could do a meeting Saturday morning and then next town to do a different meeting, or a meeting in a different town Saturday evening. And then another one Sunday morning. They get on a plane and fly back home to take orders Monday morning. And it was a challenge. And while I was doing this, I'm trying to build St. Mary's at the same time. And there was no support from anybody around me. You know, I eventually grew to where I had 2 employees after the second year. And they also would just look at me and say, "You're crazy, this is not going to happen." I think there's a lot of that sort of thing that goes on in everybody's life. And I really believe that's why a lot of people, you know, will have an idea and mature it to a point of starting and then quitting. Because they get the outside feedback, you can't do it, it won't work, this is stupid, you're better to be working a 9-to-5 job. And they give you all this justification. And because we're human, we like other people's approval. So our way of getting that approval is by listening to what they say. And that was where it was different for me. I didn't really care what their opinion was, because they weren't doing it for the reason that I was. It wasn't their project, and they didn't know what I was doing anyway. So why listen to somebody tell me I couldn't do it? So I just turned a deaf ear to it and just keep working. And yeah, it was hard. It was a lot of sleepless nights.
I mean, to get where you've gone, obviously takes some sort of motivation and takes some kind of action. When you look at what has motivated you and spurred you into action to get to where you are today, because I think that's part of manning up, is understanding that piece.
It is.
For you, what was that?
Scott, a lot of it for me is intuition. I think in order for any man to step up to the plate and go against the odds, so to speak, or do what other people look at as the impossible, is really, it's all about them and what their dream is, and do they believe in themselves. And I had a couple of motivation factors, and one was I didn't want to ever live like I was raised. I didn't want my kids to live like I was raised. I didn't want them to experience life the way I did. I felt there was more to life. I had a different philosophy, perhaps a different belief, and that was that I didn't believe, as a lot of Christian people do, that God sent me here to be punished. I believe that He sent me here to achieve my full potential. But it was up to me to do that. He didn't say it was going to be easy, but he said it would be worth it. And so there was a lot of factors involved. And so what made the difference for me is I would look at something like the essential oils. When I first discovered them in 1985, the real oils, not the perfume stuff that I got introduced to in 78, but the real oils in Geneva at the university, when I experienced that for the first time, I just felt that there was something here that was a gold mine, that it was something that God had given us, and why it had never been mined, I don't know. But that's why I said the intuitive part of it. I just